often do succulents need water, and how do you know when it's time to water them again? There's a misconception that succulents don't need a lot of water, and while it's true that they don't like to sit in wet soil for a very long time, they do need to be watered thoroughly. You don't want to just drizzle a little bit on top here and there. You can pour a whole quart of water onto a small plant like this as long as there is plenty of drainage in the bottom and you're using a well-draining soil, and as long as that means the soil is getting completely soaked. After you've thoroughly soaked the soil, you want to wait until the soil is completely dry before watering again. This is a great starting point, using the soak and dry method to water your succulent. It's also helpful to actually read your succulents or see what they're telling you to know if you need to water a little bit more frequently or a little bit less frequently. This Pachysedum has very full leaves, and if I give the leaves a little squeeze, there's just a slight amount of give both on the bottom and on these upper leaves. If I didn't know the watering schedule of this succulent, I would probably wait another week before watering it until those leaves are just slightly more deflated. Since I use the Cheerful Plants app, I know that this was last watered 33 days ago, and on average, it's actually been watered every 19 days. The combination of knowing how long it's been since I last watered and the fact that these leaves are a little bit soft, they're not as firm as when they're fully well watered, I know that it's safe to give this succulent more water. Now let's look at this Haworthia. These leaves still feel really firm. Given that, I would wait longer to water these Haworthia. Interestingly though, if we pull it up in the Cheerful Plants app, I also watered these 33 days ago. The average watering for these is every 13 days. Now you might say, okay, this is just like the Pachysedum, it's time to water. However, I happen to know that this particular plant was super dehydrated and very stressed a couple months ago, and so for a few weeks, I was watering it on a weekly basis. However, in looking at this succulent, I can see that the leaves are still really bright green. As I mentioned earlier, the leaves are still very firm. So I'm gonna give this another week before I water it again, and that way it will continue to get used to longer periods of drought. If we look at this Haworthiopsis, you can see these leaves are super bendy and they're not very firm. Normally when this is well watered and the leaves are full, these don't bend very much, and you're definitely not going to be able to bend one all the way back like this without it breaking. If I pull this one up in the Cheerful Plants app, you can see it was last watered 19 days ago, and on average, it's actually been watered every 7 days. So similar to the Haworthia I showed you earlier, this one is on a rehydration plan where I am watering it a lot more frequently to help it plump back up. The other indicator to me that this one still could use water a bit more frequently than what I've been giving it is the fact that the color here is very dark. This Haworthiopsis can become a very bright green color. As this plant starts to rehydrate, the new growth should be a lot more vibrant and green and less stressed and dark.